Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lloyd Knox and I represent Hit Squad TV, and I want to thank each and every single individual that's now tuning in to the Team Hit Squad podcast. Before we get everything started, I want to give a quick shout out to all of our sponsors. Anabolix, you can check them out at anabolixskate.com. When you use the code Hit Squad TV, you get yourself 10% off, so make sure you use that and get yourself some new wheels. You can also check out Empire Skate Shop at empireskateshop.com. Same thing, if you use Hit Squad TV as your code, you get yourself 10% off. You get yourself some laces, some new bearings, maybe some cheese balls, maybe some new skates, whatever you want. You can use that discount code, so make sure you go to empireskateshop.com. Also, big shout out to RollerCon. Their passes are now on sale. Make sure you get your passes while they last, and then get your hotel, and then we will see you in Las Vegas. Then I want to give a quick shout out to the Big O tournament. It's happening May 3rd all the way to May 5th. It's going to be a fantastic weekend. You have the 3-time champions Rose City Rollers, as well as the Vancouver Murder, and a bunch of junior teams from Los Anarchists to the defending champions Santa Cruz Derby Groms. So make sure you get your tickets for that as well. We also do have the Team Hit Squad / Just Spin shirts on sale right now, $25. All we're going to go ahead and need from you is go ahead and send us your name, your address, the size you wear, $25, and you can go ahead and shoot that to hitsquadtelly@gmail.com. Or you can just go to paypal.me/hitsquadtv. Look at me just rhyming all day, every day. We also do have Miracle Whips clinic going on this coming Saturday in Los Angeles. And the address is 8990 Claybeck Avenue, Sun Valley, California. Sunday's completely sold out. Saturday is still available, but there's just a couple spots left. Now, before we continue on, I want to introduce my guest today. My guest is a very talented musician and just so happens to be my very best friend. And his name happens to be Mr. Zachary Alkana. Zach, what up, man?
What's up, man? Happy to be here.
Happy to be here in a very, very cold area. We just got to let people know that it is 1 o'clock in the morning, Friday morning. We're going to release this as soon as we're done recording this. But it's pretty nice up here. We're up here in Barstow.
Yeah, beautiful Barstow. In the house I grew up in, actually, across the street from a train track. So you might hear a train go by.
I hope so. Hopefully that the mic will be able to pick it up and whatnot. So, before we get into our actual general conversation, I wanted to bring you in early so we can get your thoughts on a couple of the things that we have. For example, the quote of the day that we have is, "Skills are cheap. Passion is priceless." What do you think about that?
Skills are cheap and passions are priceless.
Correct. What does that mean to you?
Skills are cheap?
Skills are cheap. Passion is priceless. I mean, I the way that I see it is passion, passion is hard work to me. Hard work will always beat out talent. Someone that's willing to go out there and put in the hard work. You might not be the most talented guitarist or the most talented skater, but you're putting in the hard work and you become that much more valuable. That's the way that I see the quote. I don't know how you see it.
Well, you have to have a lot of, it's hard for me to I don't know, just look at that because skills, it takes passion to acquire skills for some, to me they're one and the same in that respect. But yeah, skills and passion, if the passion isn't there, then the skills go to waste. So skills are, I guess, cheap in that respect. Yeah, absolutely.
I like it. So, before we move on forward, I do a pretty cool segment where I get the person that I'm interviewing or talking to, I get him to do 5 quick questions. Are you ready for 5 quick questions?
Yes.
Don't think about it. Just let the answers come out.
Banana.
Ready? All right. Let's see. You are ready to go. All right. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Favorite song?
Kiss from a Rose on a Grave.
Least favorite color on Tuesday?
Yellow.
Favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Favorite sport?
Baseball.
3 things you can't live without.
Watermelon. Call of Duty, and sandwiches.
I like that list. I like that list a lot. Especially your least favorite color on Tuesday is yellow. Did not know that. Did not know that one bit. So, moving on into the main subject on what we're going to talk about today. So, this past week, we pretty much as Team Hit Squad opened up a new division, and it's music based. And the reason why we moved ahead and created that was for the simple fact that we no longer need to try and find music and try to get it licensed and stuff like that. We can completely avoid that and create our own music. Plus, me and you have been creating music since '08, I think, '09, around there.
Yeah, around there.
So, this is how the story begins. Like, me and you, we met because I was at Radio Shack. You were working at
Hometown
Buffet. And the people have already heard my story. So I want you to tell them your perspective. Because I already told them that my perspective is, I thought you was going to steal some guitar cables. Looking at you from the other side, I had to walk up. But I wanted to see how you saw the whole perspective.
I saw it as like, to kind of set the mood. I just got off work. I dead broke. I think I just got done paying rent. I was filthy. I had like a filthy apron on, and I was really frustrated because I didn't have any good guitar cables that it worked. So I walked over to Radio Shack, check out the prices, looking at them, looking around. I couldn't find them, and I had to end up asking. Well, I didn't even ask. Lloyd came up to me and, asked me, hey, so what are you looking for? Anything I can help you with? And I'm like, I'm just looking for guitar cables. And you're like, oh yeah, they're right over here. And I just remember looking at the price, like $12.99 for like a 5-footer, and then it was like $20 for like a 19-footer. I remember that. I was just like, and I was looking at him, I was like, shit. And you're like, so what do you need? So what do you need guitar cables for?
Asking the most Captain Obvious question, right?
Yeah, I was like, I play guitar. You're like, oh yeah, you in a band? I was like, no, I'm not in a band. You're like, I got a band. It's like rubbing it in my face, and so I was like, okay, you got a band? Cool, man. Yeah, come over here. Like, big man on campus took me over to the cash register and he had his own computer at the cash register. Oh yeah, check out my website. I got my own website. And he started bringing up his website and shit, and I was just like, yeah, that's cool, man. Like, I was just depressed, like, just walked out of there sad. Walked out of there with no guitar cables. Nothing. I was just like, and the guy rubbed it in my face, said he had a band on top of it. So it was an interesting little glimpse into my life at the moment. Yeah.
And it was a couple days later. I was telling them that, and I think I told you this story. I believe I did. Was when we fired our guitarist that eventually led to me finding you. Yeah. So and then just to quickly recap that story, the guitarist that we had at the time didn't show up to our very first gig that was held at the Vault in Redlands because he had to go on vacation and he needed to rest and he needed to pack, obviously. So I fired him because I was like, you're going to be able to rest because you're going on vacation. Like, are you going to go on vacation to go work? Like, to go lift some, just go put yourself into some labor. But yeah, so then I went to go search for you, and I forget, like, I think you had silverware. I think that's how I ran into you. My friend had took me out to lunch, and I was telling him the story about how I lost a guitarist, and then all of a sudden I see you pop up. But I don't know if you had food or if you had silverware. I think you had silverware, but you had put it down, and I think I got nervous. But I walked up anyway. I'm like, hey, man, hey. So now it feels that the tables are now turned because the way you felt, like you were feeling very crappy and whatnot, I was feeling like that just a few days later. I'm like, oh man. So I hit you up, and then we go to Mark's Hookah Bar. That was in Mo Valley.
Right, yeah, it was a hookah bar.
And I remember, I think we picked you up. I was with my my ex-fiance at the time. I think we were, 24 or something like that. But picked you up, went over there. You started playing, completely fell in love. Because I think you started playing Castles in the Sand by Jimi Hendrix. And I was like, whoa. Well, I mean, like, you've always liked Jimmy. Yeah,
Jimmy has always been like, well, I can't say he's always been my favorite guitar player. Like, when I first started playing guitar, it was really just riffing on school buses and stuff. It wasn't until, like, later on, like, probably around 16, 17, that I really was, like, drawn to Jimi Hendrix and really, like, sat down and just studied him, because the things he did on guitar that you hear, like, I couldn't wrap my mind around what the hell he was doing, and I found it, like, challenging and fascinating. I wanted to, like, solve the riddle of, like, these songs, and it was so simple, like, to pick up, like, other songs that I picked up, like, Nirvana, or the Doors, those kind of songs, like, just was Smoke on the Water, those first beginner songs that you start learning, and then you start listening to other things more complex. It kind of blows you away, yeah, and yeah, that's all I gotta say about that.
Yeah, I could definitely tell from the moment you started playing how heavily influenced. But the one thing that really tripped me out was something that I wasn't listening to at the time, and it completely blew my mind, was blues. How heavily influenced you were with the blues, and how wonderful it sounded with hip-hop drums. Like, it was just a match made in heaven. So being able to hear that and already picturing drums behind what you were playing, it was almost an easy fit. So when we brought you in, like, I asked you immediately, I think, like, how would you feel about trying it out? And I remember hitting up Fonzie. And Fonzie was the bass player at the time. And he was kind of, I don't want to say he was the leader, but musician-wise, he was the leader. And I remember asking him about you, or more telling him about you, like, hey, this guy, I think he's really cool. And your guys' style kind of clashed. It really did, because of how he had a more metal mentality, because during that time we were really searching for more Rage Against the Machine. And then when you came in, like, it just completely, like, I no longer wanted to do Rage. I wanted to do something completely original, completely, just something completely original. That, no other better word to describe it. So when Fonzie finally left, we were like, it was us three with Andrew as the drummer. And I think we were doing kind of well, but his heart wasn't really in it. You remember all that?
Yeah, I remember that. And I remember kind of clashing musically with Fonzie. Never, like, me and him got along great. Like, I had nothing but love and admiration for one another. Like, it was just that I think we were all really confused. I think at the time, like, we weren't confused, we were lost. We didn't really know what direction to go in, because personally, like, the way I felt was, yeah, this blues stuff, I love the blues and all that, but I really did want to cater to what Fonzie wanted, and I wanted to cater to what, Andrew wanted. And when I, like, sparked your inspired you with the blues, is like when you were, like, really pushing for, like, me to play the blues. No, this is the way the song needs to go. I was like, cool, I like that. But I also still really liked, metal, and I still wanted to play, like, metal. And but I did like the direction of going into the blues, and there was it just kind of just slowly petered out with everyone. With Fonzie shortly left, and then Andrew shortly left and left to another band, and yeah, that's just how it went.
Yeah, and then Fonzie, we jammed with him at least 2 more times after that, just to kind of retry it and like maybe this will work, maybe this won't. But every time we got together, nothing really came of it. But he always gave us our props, like, you guys sound just fine by yourselves. You don't really need anybody else. So that was kind of an encouraging sign. But going back to 2009, that was like the time I think I was like the most lost. Because, you know, I had just got out of the relationship, 3 years, completely wasted. Ballooned up to 360 or 380, whatever it was. 280, 380. 280, yes. So I kept going back to the 3.
500.
500, yeah. But yeah, ballooning up to 230 after where I originally was at 176, and then just completely giving up. Having your friendship was like the most therapeutic, best thing that could happen, and we carried that on throughout the years. I mean, we met in Moval, but you quickly moved to Inglewood, where you currently live right now. And that was like a true test. And when you moved out, we weren't really all that close at all. Like, what kept us together, I think, was the music. And I think it was when you first showed me that one song. What was it? Over the internet. Was it Far Away?
Yeah, I went to a studio and recorded Far Away. And it was like I was always recording and writing my own kind of style of music that had nothing to do with the New Danger or hip hop or any kind of anything like that. It was just really just from my soul, you know. It just really therapeutic. And yeah, you heard it. And I remember we weren't all that close. Like, after I left to Inglewood, I left Moreno Valley, moved to Inglewood, and it took us a while, even after, like, you made contact with me. You called me and said, "Hey man, like, really like making music with you. Can I drive down? Can we meet up?" And I was just like, and I was in a bad spot at the time too when I moved to Inglewood. I didn't have any friends, I didn't know anybody, and I was hesitant to even have you come over. I was like, I don't even know if I really, like, should I even revisit this? Should I even, like, am I taking a step back by, you know, going back to something that fell apart? And I just, you know what, this guy's a cool guy, and he's willing to come out all the way from Moreno Valley to Inglewood to LA to make music. So, and he said a lot of passionate words over the phone about how, you know, he really enjoyed the way I played and thinks we can create something good. So he made a leap, and I made a leap as well, and we did it. Yeah,
it's called ego stroking.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, I was there in a rough time when you had left. I mean, I remember that those first few days after that breakup, I didn't have a vehicle at the time because it was broken down. And we had walked from the Moreno Valley Mall to that small back park or something like that.
I remember that,
park
yeah.
Bench, and you taught me how to play, I forgot what Metallica song.
I taught you how to play Fade to Black. And I think I taught you like 3 songs back there.
Rock Lobster, I think, too.
Yeah, Rock Lobster, the Tommy Gun theme, dun 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 dun. I remember showing you that. I remember showing you One by Metallica, Fade to Black, and For Whom the Bell Tolls. I think I showed you all 3 of those. And you picked them up like when I showed you like Rock Lobster and the Tommy Gun theme, you picked it up pretty freaking fast. And I remember you asking me like, well, how long does it take? Is this like difficult or whatever? I'm like, it's really just the time you put into it, man. Like if you wanna be good at guitar, like you just gotta put in practice and play like forever. Like you gotta play all like I put in at least 4 to 6 hours each day, like from the time I was like 16 to then. So I like played all the time, and you were just picking up for the first time. Picked it up pretty quick, and I remember I didn't want to teach you. I was like,
yeah, you're like, no, I don't. No, I really don't.
I don't teach guitar. No, I don't do that because I had a bad experience with my brother. You just get frustrated like teaching him how to play guitar because like, no, it's wrong. You're not playing it right. He's like, I think I got it. And I'm like, no, you don't. I'm done. I'm going to my room.
And I really wanted to learn because I think at that time I really wanted to play guitar to be your backup, your rhythm.
Yeah.
While you can solo and do all of your stuff. And that eventually led to 2010 when Andrew was still there. I picked up the bass.
Yeah, you did.
And I started learning, trying to rap and keep time and stuff like that. And I think we played a show or two with Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing too major, but we still had the opportunity to go out there and play. And, then that completely fell apart. Then you moved out there, and we linked back together. And for a while, I was still learning how to play bass, but then eventually, during the Crestline sessions, as we so lovingly call it, we went to Crestline to go record our album on Fruity Loops 4. And this was 2011, I think, 2011. And that program was already, I think 8 years already too old.
I think Andrew was getting married.
Andrew was getting married out there, our old drummer. Yeah, we went out there, and we figured since your aunt had a place out there, and she sold the place.
Yeah.
So she had so she was packing everything. So we decided to bring the computer up there and record what we would now call and consider the Crestline sessions. And I remember on the final day, we brought in a drummer that you were talking to, and he was talking a lot of.
You was talking to me? I thought he was talking to you.
He wasn't talking to me.
He was talking to me?
You took him back. Yeah, he came. He got dropped off. And he brought his drum set, and he came and he played very simplistic. Not that there's a problem with that, but it wasn't what we were looking for. He didn't have the aggression that we wanted. And I remember picking up his sticks. I'm like, do you mind if I play? So I start playing, and he's like, hey, you're pretty good. How long have you been playing? I'm like, for about 3 minutes.
Yeah, I remember that. And I remember trying to jam with him, and play with him. And he wasn't. I was like, this is the the tempo of the song and stuff like that, and showing him the riff to the track that we just recorded, and he just was off time, and it was just bad. I was just like, man, what the, maybe he's just nervous, maybe we just need to take a break. And then you jumped on drums, and you started playing. I started playing along with you, and I was like, oh my God, this is it. Why, where have you been hiding this talent, dude? That's the way, it was natural skill. Cheap skill. Because skill is cheap.
Yeah. I remember that. Poor guy was asking, and after asking all that, I think we said that we would move on. Oh no, we'd hit him up, but he made a deal with you to give him a ride back, right? He rode with you back. You and your aunt.
Oh, that was awkward.
That was awkward, yeah. Oh man, he knows he's not part of the band, and yet he still has to get dropped off. This is so awkward. And I was in the truck, driving right behind you, laughing the whole time. Oh man, that is awkward. But that was the first initial push of me eventually saying, hey, we should probably get me on some drums. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you necessarily fought the idea. But I think you were like, I mean, what were you thinking? I'm just over here, like, I just picked up the bass, and then I'm like, hey, you heard me. I'll rap and I'll play drums, because that's the one thing I remember you saying. I don't want you to give up rapping. Like, I want you to be in the front.
Yeah, I remember thinking that, like, I'm like, well, how does that make sense for you to be sitting down and playing drums, and how's that work? Like, I don't think we should do that. I think you should play bass. Like, I really wanted to push for you to play bass at the time. And even though I saw you play drums, I'm like, that was pretty good. I was like, and then a friend came up out of nowhere. I got linked up with an old drummer that I used to jam with. Went over to his house, and that just got weird. It was weird. It's like he wanted me for his band, and I made it clear that I was already in a band. I had a band with Lloyd, and that this was going to be like a trio, that we're going to be together, and this Lloyd is part of the group. Like, he's not just a friend that showed up to jam, and he wanted me exclusively to pull me aside to join some other project, and it just ended up being a whole weirdness. All weirdness broke out.
My man had ulterior motives from the very beginning. Very super nice guy. I got along with him completely cool, or so I thought, up until all of that. And I remember kind of seeing that kind of play out in front of me, like, oh, what is happening? I feel like I'm being excluded right now. But, eventually everything exposed itself, and we pretty much went our separate ways. And I think you finally kind of like decided to be like, fine, I'm going to buy the drum set.
Yeah.
You found one, I think, right? It was 150 or...
They wanted like 200 or 160 or some weird number, and I was just like, I'll give you $100 for it. I remember being on the phone with them, was like, I'll give you $100 for it. And they're like, all right, come by and pick it up. I was like, cool. So I whittled them down to $100, came by, picked up the drum set. I remember being on the phone with you, like, after I got it, when I got off the phone with them, I called you, and I was like, I'm buying a drum set. And you were like, all right, man, cool. All right, man, drive safe. And I got the drum set, and I brought it back to the house. I think I might have, like, took a picture of it, sent it to you or something. Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh, shit. It was real. I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, fuck, you really did buy a drum set. I was like, yeah, dude. And yeah, I'll let you take the story from there.
Yeah, so I finally get there, and they said, well, there you go. And it was already built. So I didn't have to build anything. Mm-hmm. I just looked at it like, wow, this is real. And you're like, all right, I got to go to work. And you left for 6 hours, I think. 5 hours. Mm-hmm. You worked for 5 hours, but you were gone for 6 because, traffic, looking for your chapstick. And I think I learned within those first few hours how difficult it was going to be, but I think we caught on pretty quickly that by the time you came back, we eventually finished, we created and finished a song by the name of Elusive Butterfly. And that was still probably, out of all the songs that we have, was probably technically the hardest song that we've came up with drum and rhythm wise, because of the time changes. And we should be having the New Danger album coming up again at iTunes and all that stuff. So make sure you check that out and you can see exactly what we're talking about. But yeah, there is something there where I got sick and tired of waiting. And I think it was the same thing with you. Like, all these years of trying to find a bass player. Mm-hmm. So I picked it up. Trying to find a drummer. So I picked it up. And then being told or thinking that we have to wait a couple months just so I can pick up my chops. And I'm like, screw that. Let's go. 3 weeks. Let's go play. And I was just talking a whole bunch of mess, but we really found that the Vault in Redlands, Wednesday nights, open mic, we went there. We went for my birthday, I believe. It was in November. And I remember we showed up, and I can go back and look at the video that was provided by Josh Wilson. My goodness, it hurts. It hurts going back and listening to it. Oh man. What are your thoughts on their very first show?
I remember going up and driving up. I remember being really cold. And the stage was outside, and there is no stage at the vault. The vault is it's a bar on the inside, and then on the inside, as soon as you walk to the back, it's like an alleyway of brick, like beautiful
Reminds you of
back.
New York.
Yeah, it's really pretty. And they have this little corner they shove you in to play music with a PA system. And it's really nice, though, and intimate, and you really get an honest reaction from the crowd. And if you suck, people will walk out and back into the bar where it's warm, or they'll stay outside where it's cold and they'll listen to you. And yeah, it was pretty brutal first night, man. I just remember drinking. I think two rum and cokes, just take the edge off, and just shaking, like legs are shaking hard. And it wasn't like it's like a different. I wasn't shaking because I was cold. I was shaking because I was nervous. You just remember being up there nervous and stiff as a board, not moving, not rocking out or anything, just trying not to screw up. And yeah, it all came out, man, and it was terrifying while we were up there, but I can tell you when we got off, it felt really good. Like once we got off stage, it felt like we got some shit off our chests,
Oh yeah, and they would always give you 15 minutes, 3 songs.
Yeah.
And if the crowd wanted it, if they wanted an encore, they would give you an encore. Well, that very first night they wanted an encore, and we were like, "Oh shit, do we have another song?" I don't know if we have a full song, but I think we pulled something out. I'm not sure exactly what we played, but I know we might have played "My Baby's a Zombie." I don't think we wrote it.
No, we didn't wrote it yet.
No, we played something. We did play a 4th song, but we were so satisfied that we went the next week, and then the week after, and then the week after that, and slowly our stage presence started getting better. We would practice on the weekday, and then on that very same night we would go play, and at the same time we would go to the Big Cheese in downtown Riverside, and that place is now closed, and another restaurant's open there, but I don't remember where it is, but it's in the Mission Inn area.
It's right off the freeway.
Yeah, right off the freeway. But
off the university?
No, it's one exit before. I think no, it's not. Is it Mission? I'm not sure.
Anyway.
Yeah, so we used to play there. We would play almost 3 times a week. We would play for practice. Wednesday we would play a gig. Thursday we would play a gig. And then you would probably, I believe, took off. I think you would leave after that. But yeah, those first few years, especially that first year, we played a lot. We headlined our first show at the Vault, and I think that's where we had max, I think 100 people in that little small area, and people would come in and would not leave. And there was good days, and then there was bad days. Days where we had on average 40, 50, 60, and these are just random people, no one that we would bring. So that's how we would always test our merit. At least I would. How good are we? How many people can we maintain? And some days were good. Some days we only had 3 people. We started off with 15 and ended up with 3. And we would take shows like that sometimes a little too personal. I know I did. I did too, yeah. I feel real brokenhearted, if we're going up there and there's 20 people outside, 25, 30 people outside, and halfway through the first song, I see 5, 10 people out there only, out of that 20, 30 people that were out there, there's only 5 people left.
makes you feel like you're not doing a good job, and that I think was a good drive, like gave us good drive.
Yeah, to come up with catchy songs, to come up with and create better playlists or a set list. Like there's days where we would go with a quieter set. Sometimes we would go in with a very loud blues set. And I think what really changed for us when we really started getting angry was when we joined the hip hop scene out here. And when we joined the hip hop scene, I think I was already frustrated with the hamster wheel that was just running circles over and over. I remember when we very first started, we did Brokapalooza out in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. We played the Airliner, and there was only 2 people that showed up, even though they had 2 stages, and they started at like 8 o'clock, and we were there at 7:30. We had our amp and the drums, we had all that stuff set up, and then come to find out we were the very last people, and they put us up in a stage battling up against another band that I guess just that's had them, I think, like for 5 minutes, so there was no way people were going to leave to go upstairs, and we got left in a very crappy situation. But I remember we played super angry and super fast.
Yeah, I remember that night. Yeah.
So those 2 people, they got a real raw exclusive of what would eventually be the anger of the New Danger. And we definitely went on full blast when we went to the hip hop scene. We started messing with the Royal Gambling Club with King Dice. He always enjoyed the music that we did, and I've always respected his game plan, where in hip hop you wanna get kind of the artists that are not necessarily similar to you, but it's still hip hop. With him, he was thinking outside the box. He wanted a rock band, as he called us. He wanted a rock band. He wanted a DJ. He wanted a singer. He wanted different people from different realms. And I can respect that, because with Hit Squad TV, we're doing the exact same thing, grabbing different people with different talents from different realms and bringing them together. So in essence, I respect that. And we started really joining forces with them. We recorded the unreleased video of My Baby's a Zombie. Mm-hmm. That never saw the light for one reason or another. And I think, started getting frustrated and angry, especially me, because I was thinking that at the time I was listening to a lot more battle rap. So I started coming up with more punchline driven music. And I remember just being so mad. I was just like, I'm the best in the world out here. Because I at that time, I conquered the ability to be able to play drums and actually come up with semi-decent fills and more intricate patterns and still be able to maintain a flow. And I was proud of that. And I'm like, there's nobody that can touch me out there as far as skill and capability, both verbally and skill-wise. And in the IE hip-hop scene, or I think in the music scene in general, it's so difficult. It's so cutthroat. Nobody wants to see you succeed. If they can succeed before you, they will. They will use you as a stepping stone. You remember those times, man. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I remember feeling the exact same way, just about different things. Like, I felt that way about my guitar playing. Like, I remember just going up all the time, like, and playing and just being so proud of, like, the fact that, like, you had your gimmick and I had mine. I felt like me playing lead and rhythm, and singing really, was something that not necessarily hasn't been done before, but it was my niche. It was my thing. I felt like I was covering all the bases being in a 2-piece band. And same with you, like being able to play drums and rap and sing. You're a triple threat, because you weren't even really a singer at the time, per se. You were more of just an MC. But I remember pushing you into the direction of, like, dude, you got a good voice, dude. You need to sing more. But yeah, anyways, back to being pissed off. Yeah, I was really pissed off.
Yeah.
I remember actually thinking I was a shit so much that I actually had another guitar player come up to me at the vault telling me that, dude, you're not that fucking good. Like, he actually told me that I need to get my shit together. Like, he told me that I have some things I need to learn. Like, I'm not all that. I don't know where it even came from. I don't even know where the fucking, I don't even understand, like, how I provoked this guy to come up to me and tell me, like, I'm not the shit. Like, you remember that?
I do. But
I don't know.
You're right. It might have been that, it was one of those nights, if I'm not mistaken, we were just like, we were in that, for lack of a better word, shithole of a situation with music where we played so many songs. We played our set list a million times. We were going around in circle, and we started losing people in the crowd. And I remember that particular night, I just stopped caring. I played really loud. I just played more obnoxious than anything. Mm-hmm. And I think we kind of vibed off the same way. Feel like if people are going to leave, then we're just going to play the way we're going to play, whatever. Mm-hmm. And I think it's because we caught that ungrateful attitude. We were just ungrateful for the fact that we were there. We forgot to have fun, even though at that time, after doing it for 2-3 years, running the same hamster wheel, frustration gets to you. And it did with us, and it provoked someone that we vibed with since the very beginning, our very first show. They played before us, and we even played shows with them. We played a 2-piece band night, and I forget what the first band played, but we played second, and then their band played last. And I remember we were in such good terms during that time because we were in good terms. Mm-hmm. We were just enjoying life. We were enjoying it. But eventually, when we got to the hip hop side, and hip hop being so aggressive, and then me listening to so much more battle rap, and naturally that started affecting me to become more competitive. Really affected me, and it made me lose my love for music for a couple little bit. Mm-hmm. And I think what really derailed us was the birth of my son. No, I mean, he was born February 7th, 2014. Just a few months later, we finally released our debut album, Black Hoodie Blues. 10 songs. All of them are awesome. Took years to write. And then when we finally released it, nothing. And I think at that time, it was like, I just want to get this album done. After so many years of playing.
What were we in the middle of recording, or was it after? Remember when we played that bar, and I started losing my love for it. We were just kind of going about like just playing the music because we needed to. Like, we needed to play a show, so we played shows. We didn't really want to necessarily, but it was like, we need to get people to remember us. We need to keep that memorable, because if you stop playing, like, people forget you. That's just the rule of the game. So I remember playing this show, and I think we were still in the middle of recording the album, or maybe we hadn't begun, or we just got done or something. And I remember, like, I was just drinking all the time. Like, every show, I was knocking back. Like, I started getting a little belligerent. I remember knocking back, like, 4 rum and cokes, maybe 5. And I was drunk. And we got up on stage. And there was nobody there. I mean, there was, like, maybe 15 people there at this place we were playing at. And we got into a little bit of a confrontation. Like, you're like making me, well, from my perspective, you were making me play faster at the time. And I'm like, why are you going so fucking fast? Blah, blah. I remember that. And we got in some bullshit in the car. And I think that's when we kind of looked at each other and were like, fuck, man, like, we're not having fun anymore. Like, we were talking like fisticuffs, man. You want to get outside the car and talk about it kind of stuff? it was fucking it was weird, man. It got really hectic.
Like, it hit that really weird boiling point.
Yeah.
And then when we finally released the album, we were already thinking about the next album, and we were really looking for a bass player. And we found one in a guy named Kyle. And he brought a completely different element. Surfer, beautiful singing, reminded me of a type of Sublime with Rome type deal. And I've enjoyed the way he wrote music, and we brought him in, but my son was just, I think, 6-7 months during that time. It was really difficult to try and get away. And I think he was ready to play shows, and we just weren't ready yet. Although we did play a show or 2 shows with them, and they all sounded phenomenal. But I think he wanted something else, and eventually he moved on, and then we completely stopped doing music for a couple years. And it was pretty hard those few years. You know, that's when Hit Squad TV started popping up, and that was a means to try and keep my creativity going. But then eventually that started changing, and it started turning into, people might actually enjoy our highlight videos enough to want to pay for them and start learning different types of techniques and different types of ways to shoot and create documentaries and this and that. But we were always using licensed music, stuff that you can find on YouTube that you can almost potentially get in trouble. So now making it a complete full circle, I mean, you've been around during that entire time when I was doing Hit Squad TV. As a matter of fact, you went to 2 roller cons. First of all, how did you enjoy the atmosphere of RollerCon with all the people? Because you aren't from, I mean, me and you, we are not from
the
roller
scene
derby or from the scene and stuff. I eventually learned to get into the scene, and I love the scene. But you're not part of the scene even now. What did you think about it when you first went in?
I see a lot of like camaraderie and love for one another. Like everybody seems really tight. Like everybody that does roller derby, like, doesn't matter whether or not they know each other. The fact that they're there to experience the same thing, like, they have this camaraderie instantly, regardless of, like, who you know or who you don't know. Everybody really supportive of one another there. It's a nice scene. I like it.
So I'm going to ask you this question strictly for the fact that you are not involved in roller derby. And I want to make sure that everyone realizes this. You've been to, I think, since for the past couple years, we're on our 4th year going on 5 years. I think you've gone to, I want to say at most 10 bouts. 10 bouts through the entire existence of me being in derby and you coming along to either watch or help. And the camaraderie, you're absolutely right, being able to see something like that. And I wish we saw that in the music scene.
Yeah, we didn't at all.
More people wanting to help. And it was a complete 180 from where we came from, where I was like ready with that cutthroat mentality. And everybody's like, hey, man, relax, put the knife down.
Yeah.
Put the knife down, man. It's not that serious. We're here to help you. And, I've always enjoyed the kindness of everyone in derby because, I don't know. It's just some sort of kindness to it, dude.
Yeah, complete opposite from the music scene, and everybody's there to help one another. Everybody's wants to help you sharpen your tools as an athlete out there on at RollerCon, and it's not like that when it comes to musicians. It's like, well, if you don't know how to do that, then you need to go home and learn it. You better go home and practice. It sounds like you need to practice. They're not going to sit down and show you anything. And that's unfortunate that, people don't want to share knowledge when it comes to as a musician. But back to roller derby. What was your question about roller derby?
The question is, since you're not part of it, what do you think, and this is going to be kind of a heavy question, I guess, but what do you think roller derby has to do to get themselves to the potential next level as far as appealing to the mass audience?
Hmm.
And then once again, this is from someone that doesn't have anything invested in Derby. So I really wanted to capture your answer because I think that's very important.
Maybe like a distinct. I don't know if this is the right term. Distinct, like you know how when you look at a basketball court, it's hard to even compare it to basketball. It's not even, there's no sport like, the problem, I guess, is there's no sport comparable to roller derby.
It's its own thing.
It's its own thing. See, when you look at it at soccer, you can easily compare it to hockey. You can easily compare hockey to basketball. It's the same concept. We're moving something from, we need to get this puck, we need to get this ball from this side to that side. We need to get this, there's an objective. And when you're watching roller derby, I think for somebody who doesn't watch, never seen it before, it's really hard to tell what's happening because there's no ball. The person scoring the point is kind of hard to distinguish from the blockers. I mean, the person scoring is a person with a star on their helmet. But I think that needs to be maybe a more flashy thing. Like that jammer needs to be more stand out than just have a star on their helmet. Or, maybe that would distinguish them as a scoring person. As opposed to, not, I mean, you should be able to just walk in as never being able to imagine never seeing roller derby before and realize, oh, that guy's scoring a point because they're bright or something. They're golden. I don't know. Like they have an aura. I don't know. They have they're wearing something that distinguishes them.
So more consumer friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. I know for a couple people that I see coming in for the first time, whether it be their first time watching Renegade or Bank Track or WFTDA, they do have trouble watching it, but eventually you're like, okay, that's the person scoring. But I completely agree as far as consumer friendly penalties, and just a lot more. Like there's a lot of stuff going on out there, so I can dig that. I can dig that 100%. So going back to music, as far as your background, let's backpedal a little bit. Who is you, your dad played guitar, right, growing up?
Yeah.
And he played around you?
Yeah, he played guitar when I was a little baby. He put me to sleep playing guitar. Sounds kind of cheesy, but that's what he did. He'd sing to me and play guitar. It was kind of our little bonding thing that he would do when I was really young. And then later on, I think around maybe 10 or 11, he actually forced me, come on, Zach, let me just show you, let me just teach you something. And he was kind of pulling teeth, to get me to, want to play. And once he showed me a couple things, then I started, plunking around on the guitar a little bit since that age.
Yeah, your dad's such a cool person. I think I don't think I've heard him play guitar. But I'm pretty sure that as talented as you are, can only imagine what kind of skills that man possesses. I know you know that. I think I've told you that my dad plays guitar. Mm-hmm. It was such a ridiculous thing to find out when I turned 27, 28. I found out that my dad played guitar, and I wish he would have told me that he knew how to play because he knows chords. And I wish that he would have told me that when I was 10 or 11 when he bought me the keyboard that I eventually attempted to learn, and then I'm like, nope, I have no musical talent. I can't learn these chords. It's ridiculous. And then I think it would have been a very cool thing to kind of vibe and connect with my dad, because I loved music since I was at such a young age, but I didn't know my dad played any music, and I thought we missed a real golden opportunity on vibing. And we finally made up for that I think like 2 years ago. We were up in Big Bear or Crestline. I think we were up in Crestline. We went up there, and we went up there for Christmas Eve, and I brought my guitar, and just so happens there was a guitar there, and he picked up his guitar and he started playing, and I started trying to follow him. I did horrible. I did absolutely horrible. Don't think that this is a Hallmark moment where we start playing Jingle Bells or Christmas Night all beautifully. It was terrible. But I think it was just the fact that I was able to share that moment with my dad, that was something I hope that I'll be able to share with my son.
It's kind of beautiful, man. Dude. It's beautiful.
I wish we could have done a little sooner, but you know what? Better late than never, right? Better late than never. So, what do you think now about, like, now we're back in action. We're back at it again. This time we're coming back to music in a completely different form.
Mm-hmm.
Where now we're going to be able to, I'm creating music at my place, and then I'll be able to pass files to you, and you'll be able to lay guitar work down, and then you can send it right back to me. I mean, how do you process that compared to our first album? We recorded it with live instruments.
I was very opposed to. I remember when we recorded the first album, I was very opposed to using any kind of electronics, like any kind of beat machine for drums in the background. I was very stubborn, very dead set on having organic. I was like, it's got to be organic, man. It has to be real drums, real guitar, no click track, dude. It's got to be real. It's got to sound raw, but it's got to sound, nice and pretty.
Yeah, we really wanted with no metronome. One, because it was easier to record because we didn't have that much money.
Mm-hmm.
And we only had, I think, 16 hours to record 10 songs. And I remember the song that took us the longest was Ballad of Orpheus, and we never nailed it down. I think we did like 10, 11 takes.
Oh my God, was it that many?
We did, and it always fell apart when I would come into drums, because I'd either come in a little too late or I'd come in a little too early, or we would just lose it at some point. And it would suck because as soon as we mess up, you have to reset back to the beginning, and it's all just you playing the same thing over and over. It was a complicated riff too, so it wasn't just you strumming A minor and E. Like, no, it was a picking song.
Yeah, it was like, and I had to pick, and I remember if I didn't pick it just right, that the verse that I was singing wouldn't, like the way the notes that I would sing wouldn't line up with the notes I was plucking. So it was bizarre. Anyways, yeah, recording sucks. Hate it. Hate recording. And
I think that's why we wanted to record everything live, because
we
figured we've played these songs for the past 2 years live. Nothing is going to mess us up. Completely wrong. It was so difficult to try and record that music without a metronome, but we realized how difficult it was going to be to try and record with a metronome, knowing the fact that I can't keep count. Like, after a while, when I keep playing the same thing over and over, I try to keep count. 1 measure, 2 measures, 3 measures. But for some reason, when I hit 2, the next thing I want to say is 3, but my mind is like, wait a minute, did I already do 3? Am I on 4? Where's the change? What am I doing? And I'm like, and I start freaking out, and my whole world starts falling apart. It's like a house of cards, just like one small step, and everything just falls apart.
Oh, and forget it if it's 8.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, it's such a long time, and you're like, oh, I hope he's not looking at me, because I think he might be the same way as me being lost, and then you look at me, you're like, I'm lost. I'm like, me too. What are we gonna do now? So yeah, we messed up actually on a song like that. Park Bench. We recorded Park Bench, but I think we recorded the second verse 2 measures too short.
Yeah.
And that was our complete bad because once again, 16 hours, 10 songs, they take a while to record, and we just didn't have the time or the budget to go back and fix it. So we actually never released the song.
Yeah, it was just on there. Yeah, no vocals.
It was sadly a throwaway song, and it was a beautiful song that you personally wrote. So,
well, thank you.
Yeah, so our recording process was never fun. The release of the album, we did a album release show, and we should have gone like in the middle, or we should have gone first and then let everybody play, because I do not like people that book shows sometimes. And that show in particular was terrible because they booked us all the way at the end, but all the way at the end was midnight. All these people that came out and showed love and support, they showed at least like at least a good 40, 50 people showed up for the album release party. But the people in the beginning and the middle, they all got the glory. All the people were there, they were cheering and all that stuff. We should have gone on during that time, but they were so stubborn to move us, so they left us at the very end. And by the time we started playing, there was only like 10 people.
Yeah, I remember that.
And half of them moved outside because they went to go smoke because they've been drinking. And I remember I would do the same thing where I'm like, it's midnight, I could hear the music from outside. And it sucks that we ended up playing like that, and it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. And the Inland Empire, as far as how they took care of people, like that was our album release party.
Yeah, it was just it was just a bad scene at the time, dude. I think I don't even think those promoters that we worked with are probably even promoting anymore. Like, and if they are, I mean,
we should go warn people.
Yeah, go warn people. I don't want to drop any names because it's not even worth my time.
Yeah, we're already 5-6 years removed. So and then just like I was always told in roller derby, there's a 5-year lifespan, and I think it's the same thing with musicians and promoters. Like there's a 5-year cycle. Like right now, I was just looking at the Inland Empire music scene as far as rock and hip hop. It's a completely different scene. I don't know if you remember Curtis King.
I remember, yeah.
Curtis King, just a couple years ago, was with Black Cloud, and then he left the label, and he left to go do his own thing, and people were kind of looking at him a little strange. Now he has 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. He releases help, advice for musicians, so look him up, Curtis King, with 2 S's, Curtis. And his stuff is awesome. I watch it and I relate it to video and as well as music, because obviously music. But I relate to it with video, and I like the way that he brings up things like that. And that's just a good example of someone realizing their own potential and pretty much backing themselves up. And it didn't take him overnight. This thing took almost 2-3 years. Mm-hmm. He started working with Murs, hip-hop legend in the underground and in the regular ground. Is that what it's called? Regular main level? Let's call it main level. Let's call it main level.
Main level, level 1.
Yeah, so, and we've always, I think, remember when we played Brick to Your Face is a Grimy Christmas or something like that. When we
the Glass House?
The Glass House.
That was a kick-ass show, dude.
Yeah, we
really good.
We went on stage with Diesel and we did a cover of Sweet Dreams.
Yeah.
And then that's all you played.
But it sounded so amazing, dude. Like, I can't...
They mic'd it up so beautiful, right?
Yeah. It was so scary how I'm like I've had... like I have a half stack, so it's like a really loud amplifier. Like even in a big place, like it's a loud amplifier. So usually most venues that we played at, I never mic'd my amp because there's no point, because the PA was there for our voices. And when we stepped on stage, dude, it was just so loud. Like, I was just so like, oh my God, they can hear everything. They can hear every little mistake. Like, I cannot hide behind the crash. Can't hide behind the kick or anything. Like, I can't hide behind no voices. Like, my guitar is up front. Like, they can hear I was like, bang. I was like, oh. I was like, oh God.
We didn't do a sound check.
No.
Also, and what tripped me out was I didn't bring my drum set because they're like, don't worry, we're going to have a house one where, since it's a hip hop show, you and I think another drummer are going to come up on stage or whatever. So we'll use a house one. And it was great. But as soon as I got up, I start messing with the snare to try and angle it a little low because it was just too straight. Like, remember Rick and Morty? Where he's like, you want to experience true level? This is true level. And it was that straight. And I'm like, I can't adjust it. So I would have to literally hit it right on top just to make sure I hit it right. Because if I would snare roll the way that I would usually do it, I'd hit rim all day. Like,
you have a rim shot. Yeah.
Because it was just too straight. So I remember playing so robotic. I couldn't add any real emotion to it. I couldn't add anything because everything was just so out of place for me and I couldn't adjust. Especially playing on a stage so big that you can automatically tell your mistakes. And I was so petrified of hearing the kick, like, boom. Oh, like, oh, that shouldn't sound that incredible, but it does. Oh, they're going to hear me when I mess up.
Did I play on my amp or did I play on some other?
You played on your amp.
I did.
You were able to bring yours because you brought it because we went to go record the rest of our album that same day. And when we were done recording, we left from West Covina and then we went to Pomona. And that's where the Glass House is at. So we played there and that was a fun experience. I think my favorite experience that we ever had as far as traveling was when we went up to Humboldt County to go play Animal House. We rented a Dodge Avenger, and it was me, you, Ivy, and Machete.
Yeah, Machete, yeah.
And we rode up there 13 hours. Oh, that was long. That was brutal, painful. I remember stopping at 6 o'clock in the morning off on the side just so that we could stretch out our legs and looking outside.
I remember getting lost in San Francisco.
You remember that there was 2 prostitutes that fought?
Oh, yeah.
There was 2 prostitutes. And this was like at 1 o'clock in the morning, too. We got to San Francisco, pulled over to get gas. And right before we were going to pull over, there was we hit the stoplight. And this, all of a sudden out of nowhere, just crossing the street, just a fight happening. And then a girl gets her hair pulled, just like getting dragged and then getting beat up in the middle of the street at 1 o'clock in the morning. And we pulled over to get gas and we're like, wow, San Francisco's beautiful.
I think one had pink hair and one had green hair.
Yeah, it was a very terrifying thing to see because they saw that we were watching. They didn't care. They were handling business.
Yeah, they were mad about something, man. I remember there was 3 of them, and one of them was just watching the other 2 fight. Didn't even help. Just like, yep, yeah.
Yeah, so then we finally get to Humboldt County and Humboldt in general, and we were there for 2 days, I think 2-3 days. They got us a hotel. They paid for everything. We played that show, and when they say it was an animal party, it was literally a bunch of people in animal costumes. And we went up to go support our friend Kelly Mack. And we are her backup band. And I remember that day of the show, we link up with Kelly Mack. We bring up the drums, the guitar, and she shows our music and our set to her friend. Which actually,
DJ friend.
With the DJ friend, yeah. And he's like, hey, I can find a bass player. I can find this. I can find that because it's not going to sound full. And he didn't hear it when it's actually amped up and all that because, So he didn't want us to really play. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember being up there and, the day of the show, like I'm talking maybe 2:00 in the afternoon. We're supposed to go on at like 10. Like this guy, and we've been practicing with Kelly Mack maybe for like, I want to say 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks, nailing the songs, getting songs down, I think it was like a 45-minute set.
Mm-hmm. And we had to cover, I think, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to cover, we covered a pretty good amount. I think 3-4 songs.
Yeah. So we had to go up there and we're just getting warmed up, making sure that we're all on the same page. This is how the songs go. She has a microphone. We're kind of like doing a practice session. It wasn't even a mic check because we weren't even on the stage. We were just in like a side building somewhere. And while we're practicing, I remember the DJ pulling Kelly off to the side, and we were kind of off to the side, and he was like, I don't really know what to say. Just, I guess, not manipulating, but like trying to change her, give her a different perspective on the sound and make her feel a certain way, put some doubt in her heart about how we performed and this and that. And I didn't like that at all. I was like, why are you shaking her? Why are you making her feel like shaky about it? Like we drove all this way and busting her ass. Like, I know we sound good. Like, she knows we sound good. Like, what's the problem? I don't know what his deal was.
Yeah, he didn't believe in us, but she believed in us, and she said that she wanted to go through with what we had. And I remember showing up to the party, and we see Cali Tuna.
Yep.
Cali Tuna. And he gets off the stage, and I remember Kelly goes up next, I believe. And she does her thing for about 20 minutes, and then we get brought up there. And then we play her 3 songs that we've been practicing. And we shut everything down. Shit was crazy. I've never seen so many people. There had to have been at least like, I don't know, 400 or 500 maybe, like in grand total.
Yeah, about that.
Like, yeah, within that whole party, that whole experience, and it was such a good time. And then when we were finally done, Cali Tuna gave us props, told us that we sounded excellent and fantastic and all of that. And we left with a sense of pride of being able to accomplish something as good as that. And I think that was when we really started feeling that we can probably do this. Like, I think this is good. I mean, I knew Ivy during that time, so eventually, I think a year later, that's when Michael was born. So we were already at the tail end of that run.
Yeah.
When that happened, and that kind of sucks because I think we had a pretty good future that was in our hands. It's just that I think we started executing everything correctly a little too late when we were just too frustrated. Now I can kind of understand why artists release an album first and then go tour. We did it the complete opposite because we were just tired of waiting. Like, why wait? And I'm more thankful for the fact that we didn't wait and we learned everything on the way, because I think that's just at least for me, that's the best way I learn, like learning through trial and error and understanding that some mistakes, or most of my mistakes, are just an opportunity for me to have learned something and how to do it a different way.
Yeah, and the occasional happy accident. Like, sometimes, like, you mess up, but something good comes out of it. Like, that happens all the time, like, especially playing music. Writing stuff, you screw up. Oh, wow, that sounded pretty cool, actually, that mess up right there. Let's kind of recycle that and see how we can work it in. But, yeah, nothing tastes more better than learning things on your own and failing and then succeeding. That the taste of success after failing It just makes it so much better when you know you earned it, that nobody can take it away from you. And I remember that was our whole like mantra. We built this. This is ours. Nobody can take this shit away from us. The New Danger. This is about something we built, and nobody has. We don't want anybody dipping their hand or trying to manipulate or tweak us in any kind of way or fashion to their liking. Like I remember getting approached a lot about, oh, you guys need a bass player.
All the time. Oh man, you all sound great, but you know what you need? It was a bass player or a keyboard player.
Yeah.
It was one of those two all the time. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. If you know one, by all means.
Do you know one?
Don't act like, because people acted like that's all we wanted. I'm like, no, we want a bass player. We want to grow, but it's just so difficult to try and find someone that has the time to go practice and to go do that. Because, I mean, I think people in like roller derby understand that. Like, do you want to take it serious? Do you want to be part of a recreational league, or do you want to take it serious and go to the big leagues? And it's really up to you. We want to do big league stuff, but the people that we were trying to find were doing it more recreationally, and that's not a problem. It's just that that's not what we were looking for, and all of our unfortunate options that we had were all recreational, and it was just, I think everything was happening all at the wrong time. But, you know, once again, I'm very thankful for all of the stuff that we went through, because I don't think I would have ever found out that I would have been able to do music the way that we did.
Yeah, that was, I think it's hands down, one of the most incredible experiences that I've ever had is being in a band and actually experiencing the struggle and the sweet success of like hearing the crowd give you that instant response once you end the song, or even during the song, like, we like you, you know, screaming, clapping, looking at you, like, dude, that was great. All the little things that you get after, you know, you get off stage, you know, the high fives, great job, guys. People you don't even know, like, coming up to you saying, bro, that was the shit. You did a great job. Like, keep it up. I like what you guys do. Like, when you guys playing again. Like, that's an incredible feeling. And I'm sure a lot of athletes going back to roller derby experience the same thing. I mean, I hope they do anyways. I mean, it's just, you know, some people are scared. Nervous to approach people and say nice things. I understand that, but yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I see a lot of good sportsmanship out there. They're always encouraging, smiling, being happy, high fives and all that. So there's always a good camaraderie in derby. And yeah, we had a good camaraderie. And we had a good run and stuff like that. And now we're back in the saddle doing different things. And I want to... This is probably the last subject, and then we'll pretty much call it a night.
All right.
So yesterday I released, or 2 days ago now, I released our podcast where I said I killed rock and roll. And just a very small sample of it is I said I killed rock and roll because I try to relate it to what was going on in rock and roll during the time where I picked up music. I started listening and started trying to create my own music at the age of 10. I wanted to learn how to play an instrument, and during that time, music, rock-wise, was doing pretty well. Then you switch over. I remember Soulja Boy came out in 06, 05, 06, 07. Everybody was doing the Soulja Boy, including myself. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I still remember it. So I said I killed rock and roll, but the basis of it all is just the fact of evolution. Music evolves. Right now, with FL Studios and Reason and all of these other programs, it's showing you that you can create guitar-based music, instrument-based music on computers now.
Right.
And you can actually add a human element by changing the I forget what it is, but changing it to like the 16th or something like that to add a real human emotion for the fact that us as humans, we're not metronomes. We don't really hit on the point, on the spot all the time. So I said that I killed rock, but in actuality, I think the industry was just evolving. And my question to you is, how do you see rock and roll right now? Because I think rock and roll went more underground. It didn't die. It went underground. There's still bands out there. You hear bands like local bands, and they're trying to bring it back. But what's going to, like, is rock ever going to come back?
I think I think every so often, like, rock does fall to the wayside. Like, it happened even during the 80s. Like, it happened during the 70s. Totally happens. Yeah. I mean, it died when disco, like, came out, dude. Everybody was about disco. And then disco died, and then rock came back. And then, you know, hip-hop came out, and it kind of, like, pushed rock to the wayside a little bit. And then rock came back, you know.
But you look at the situation right now where you flipped, and just sticking with radio, there's no real rock stations. There's maybe one or two, and they're all playing the same oldie type rock. Like, there's no...
I have to agree with you there, yeah.
And I credit it to the fact that hip-hop is so... You can release and make music so simple. You no longer need 3, 4, 5 musicians in a room to create the instrumental when you have one person, one laptop or computer, one program with all of the instruments, and you can make it, and you can make it at a fast pace, knowing the fact that we want information nowadays super quick, and I don't think rock and roll was able to keep up with it. So the only thing that I can, and this is kind of a fantasy scenario,
Okay.
I can see rock eventually evolving into electronic, where people can play these type of guitar riffs and songs, but someone's going to be able to figure it out on how to play these type of riffs and be able to lay it on an electronic drum type machine and be able to create music at a much faster pace because they have to keep up with it. I mean, it's fun to create music as a group because you can never get that soul and vibe from what you get from like how I always read, beat machines don't have soul or something like that.
Yeah.
And I completely agree. I mean, there's just a beauty behind real natural drums, but I think in order for rock to compete with today's market, especially with how dominated hip hop is right now, but the next music that's coming up that's taking over right now,
It's EDM.
EDM, yes, EDM is completely taking over, where people now are paying hundreds of dollars to go to EDM concerts and really be part of that culture.
See, I get it, but I don't get it. Like, I don't understand. I mean, I'm old, dude. Like, we're old men. We're 32. So, like, I mean, if you talk to a 32-year-old when I was like 16, 17, well, they might have liked Slipknot. They might have wanted to go to a Slipknot concert, but they might not have. They probably would have just been like, wow, like, this is what you like, huh? Guys in masks, just a bunch of grown men in masks on. It's like playing and screaming into a microphone, and yeah, dude, like, I love Slipknot. I love seeing that visceral stage presence they have. I love rock bands. I love seeing musicianship. And I don't understand what the musicianship, what the attraction is to EDM or any, like, when dubstep came out, and I watched like a Skrillex concert on my phone on like YouTube. I was like, well, what is he doing? He isn't doing anything. I think he's just playing his track, and that's it. And maybe he's turning a knob or two, but he's not making those sounds. He already made them. he made them like 6 months ago, and now he's on tour, and he's just hitting a play button. And that's what a lot of the EDM artists are doing, I believe. Like, I can't speak because I never seen like an EDM show, but I'm pretty sure they're just up there, like, hit a button, and they're just rocking out. Like, they're just banging their head. Dead Mouse, I'm sure he does the same shit. Like, it's all about the lights. It's all about the stage show.
It's the showmanship.
It's the showmanship, and it has nothing to do with musicianship anymore. And I kind of feel like, I don't know, it feels like, what are you going there for?
For the experience. I think it's just, well, you were saying the lights and all that. I think it's just a general experience of being able to go out there and vibe with some loud, you could feel the bass vibing through your system since you're there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, showmanship is always there, but I can agree that this was more of a showmanship overload, I should say. Yeah. Overload, where there's always been musicianship with what's his name, Gene Simmons, right? From Kiss and what are they called? I can't even remember.
Van Halen.
Van Halen. There you go. I was thinking Paradise City. I'm like, come on, I know the name.
Guns N' Roses too. Yeah, both of them. Yeah.
So there's always been showmanship, but this now, since they're not really playing an instrument, but that's what I'm talking about. It's evolution. Like, everything is completely always evolving with Derby right now. How Derby was in the 70s and the 60s. How it evolved from even with the 30s, when it was just originally just a race, a sprint. And then eventually evolved to what it became and what we know now as roller derby. And then now with the modern era. Like, it's just all evolution, but this evolution is different because I think it's like, I think I told you this a few weeks ago. It's kind of like how they were creating paper. And in the 1400s, I think, they came out with the pressing machine. And then now you were able to, at the time that you were able to create one paper, you were able to create 5, 6, 7, 8, or whatever the amount was. You were starting able to produce things faster. And I think that's what happened with music. Knowing the fact that computer-wise, you're able to bang out a lot of stuff. I don't doubt being able to see maybe these metalheads that are growing up right now that are like 17, 18, they figure out Fruity Loops and they're able to create Avenged Sevenfold type of riffs on the computer. And we can completely make that happen. Just got to have some patience.
Yeah.
Or you can actually just learn how to play the guitar.
Or you can, yeah, exactly. My deal is, my big beef with the whole EDM. I don't have beef with EDM in general. Like, I think it's awesome. It's pretty cool music. Like, I'm not gonna, like, even the poppy shit's pretty cool. Like, I can vibe to it. I'll bob my head to it. I cannot deny it's pretty all right. Mm-hmm. It's pretty all right stuff. My only kind of like thing I don't get is, let me just explain it to you this way. This is the way I see it. All right. So I'm going to invite you to this party. I'm going to invite you to this show. All right. We're all going to crowd into a room together, like a big room. Mm. And we're all going to look towards this stage. And there's going to be a guy behind a box. And he's going to have a laptop right on top of the box. He's going to have a big hat on. And he's going to have big smoke machine, and he's going to play something really loud for you. And there's going to be a lot of lights. It just sounds like, to me, like that's the way I kind of see, like, that's the way I imagine, like, the experience, like, it just doesn't seem appealing, like.
I see your point, but I think you're completely ignoring everything that you were just saying. Like, there's going to be some lights and some smoke, but you're focusing on completely the wrong thing. Yeah, he's there and he's vibing, but he's giving you a show. He's giving you the lights and the smoke and the music and the bass.
But is he really? He's not giving you that.
Not him himself.
There's people in the back.
It's a show. It's a show.
There's hardworking people in the back working the smoking machine.
Do you think the rock bands, while they're playing their instruments, the strumming controls the lights? Of course, man. It's a production. It's a show. And I think that's why people like going to festivals like that, because it's no longer just watching people just playing their instruments. They're actually giving you a show, a light show, a panels of video of someone like doing a robot, and then all of a sudden you're in the universe or something like that. Like, they give you a completely cool original I don't want to say original. I mean, people have been doing that type of stuff for such a long time, but it's really cool being able to see them being able to expand themselves that big, where they can give you a big show. You even see Beyonce and Jay-Z kind of take a page out of that, where their shows are just massive, where they have big panels, big lights, smoke, and they have dancing routines. EDM doesn't have that, but I mean, once the bass starts hitting, you have your own dance routine in your body. You're like, oh, right here, this is my jellyfish.
Well, I guess the problem, I guess my deal with EDM is like, okay, I guess the thing I can't relate to is that, like, I don't dance per se.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe like me not being very much of like a dancer, like I can't, dancer's probably not the right word, but like somebody who likes to dance at like a show, like, or just dance freely, when at a concert. Like, I'm not that type of person.
I vibe.
I'll jump. Jumping's fun, but jumping gets like you only can jump for so long, dude. And then you're completely gassed, and it's like, okay, so I guess I'll go get a drink. Like,
well,
I don't know.
We're older.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I can see that. I could go to a concert and be like, I don't need to jump to have a good time, but that's just age. I mean, if I was 21 and EDM was popping and was as popular as it is today, I would probably have gone to a concert, EDM or anything like that. Escape to Wonderland. That sounds fun.
Oh, my roommate went to that.
Was it fun?
She said she had a great time.
Yeah, see, and they create it where it's like almost a theme park. It's not even just about the shows anymore. Like Coachella is like show, but they have a Ferris wheel now. They have a whole bunch of stuff. So all of that, all in all, I've had a very fantastic conversation, like we always do. These conversations are the type of conversations that we have when we talk on the phone. We'll go off for an hour and a half, just like we did today.
Yeah.
Before we let everything happen, do you want to say anything else to the crowd before I let you go?
It was a pleasure. Thank you for having me, Lloyd.
And we're going to have you back on the show many more times. So everybody, make sure you pay attention to this very talented guitarist and overall great human being by the name of Zach Alkana. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank each and every single one of you that stood here for the hour and 33 minutes of this interview that we had with Zach on the Team Hit Squad podcast. Before I let you go, make sure you check out Anabolix at anabolixskate.com and empireskateshop.com. Both places, if you use the code HITSQUADTV, you get yourself 10% off. So with Anabolix, make sure you get yourself some wheels. Make sure you get yourself a nice Anabolix shirt. And at Empire, get yourself the laces, get yourself the cheese ball bearings, the Chicks and Bowls sliders, a nice skateboard, whatever you want. Make sure you say hi to Amy and Tom and let them know that Hit Squad TV sent you. RollerCon, their passes are out now. Make sure you get your passes. And I will see you in Las Vegas. Is it July yet? And finally, Big O. You can check them out at bigotournament.com. That's going to be from May 3rd to May 5th. We are going to be there. We are going to have a great time. Very excited to film Vancouver. Very excited to film the 3-time world champions, Rose City Rollers. Denver Roller Derby is going to be there. It's going to be the first time we're going to see Lady Trample in her new uniform, but it's not going to be as weird because the team that she just left to go to has the same colors, blue and white. So it's not really that big of a difference. Anyways, I hope you enjoy your entire weekend. I hope this makes up for the fact that we didn't release something on Thursday, and this is a Thursday-Friday combination episode. I will see you back on Monday, and have yourself a fantastic weekend, I guess. That's how, no confidence on ending this show, but nonetheless, you all have yourself a fantastic weekend. I was Lloyd Knox, and you are a fantastic group. Peace out.